Omnia is silenced.
For the witch queen, black waters, dragon venom. That shit got right on top of you. She sells seashells by the seashore. Medea, me more. She sells seashells by the seashore. Medea, me more. They sell you knockoff Jesus, facsimile of the real mystery. Your poster boy, pedophile, drug addict was made by Rome to enslave all of you. Knock, knock. Can't you hear me? I'm at the door. Pristine Theory X. Black waters, black venom. Julius Caesar hung Medea's portrait on the Temple of Venus. The producer, divine. Julian Library of the Renaissance. Sibylline books, so cold with the freezy, poisonous kisses. She sells seashells by the seashore. Medea, me more. She sells seashells by the seashore. Medea, me more.
Welcome back to Lady Babylon and what I predict will be the most feather-ruffling show we've ever had tonight. So, buckle up, satanic congregation. I thank you for coming. I want to make a couple of announcements before we begin. Thank you, Teddy Bass. I want to make a couple of announcements. I'm getting a lot of requests, and thank you for those. Love it. People are saying, where is and you? You is coming. You is coming. I have to push first to get you, you. And we'll go from there. Soldiers, you'll notice the tone is changing a little bit at you. And you'll notice that, well, the instruction is rather drillish. Yes. Oh, God. Because we need everybody on their toes with the Greek so that we can access the library. Right. We are at that renaissance. That seed is just about to sprout. Oh, God, for all you people in future studies. Oh, God, this was the year. Oh, I love it. So more to come. It's coming and it will come, and everybody can be involved in that who wants to be, and it'll be fantastic. The museum, the integrity of the museum must be held as our distinct privilege. I want to say a thank you to all of the people from Discordia who have been working so hard, and the talent. By the way, I know not everybody was privileged to be there, but this was a show that was playing out in front of me that was just gorgeous, full of integrity, just popping with artistic beauty. The music was gorgeous. This is people composing and performing music. The poetry was exquisite. This is stuff written. This is Salon. You're creating an environment, and you did. So tonight, after Lady Babylon, I will meet with the round table, and I will give you the words of Omnia. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. So right afterwards, on tonight's show, we're going to have Gnostic Informant come. Gnostic Informant's going to come and inform us fantastically. So wait for it. When I'm done with my section, I'm going to call him in. Love it. Everybody who's been involved, thank you. So I promise you, because I know your satanic congregation, I know what you're looking for. This is the dirty stuff you want. This is the stuff that will cause controversy. This is the edge. They called it the last wild frontier of classics. Who said that? The London Times. This is the edge. Are you ready tonight? Tonight, I am going to bring to you the big lie. Yeah, this is it. This is bigger than big. This is the one that changed history. Without it, the timeline degenerates. We fall back to that classical well. We wake up and we see. Indeed, the best thing to do is to serve the muse. Tonight, I'm going to show you. I'm going to do something very straightforward and simple. I know everybody has time constraints, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to value your time, and I'm going to say we are going to look at Isaiah chapter 3. Isaiah chapter 3, but we're going to look at it in the way that you've never looked at it before. We're going to look at it in the original language in which it was written, which is Greek. And you're going to see how the translation slope from higher tech to lower tech is a downward plummet. You're going to see it. Oh, God, what are we going to do? I'm going to show you those texts for the first time. Are you ready for this? And I want you to see how the big lie changed history. And you happen to be swimming in it right now. You're swimming in it. Is everybody on the throne? I forgot to tell us, get out now. Everybody, we got to get out. This ship has landed. We're going into the zone. But on tonight's mission, I want you to taste the big lie. Here we go. Are you ready? Get me up the first. This is who we're looking at. Musaeus. Oh, you say it so strangely. Musaeus. Oh, love it. This is Isaiah. Isaiah. And Isaiah is going to prophesy for us. He's going to tell us like prophets do. He's going to tell us about Yahoo and about what Yahoo's going to do to these people who are dancing with their... Wait a minute, what? Okay, hang on. Right, we always go to cult sites, right? You didn't think I wouldn't bring you to a place that wasn't cult, because I know what you love, baby. I know what you love. You love these dingy cult drug parties. Yeah, it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. We hang out together, and I appreciate that. Let's go to the next one. Bring that up. What am I doing? I'm showing you Isaiah 3, and I'm first going to show you in the native Greek, and we're going to look at technical terms. Look at this. Pay attention. Says the Lord despot who rules Saba. He's going to take away from those Judeans and from those Jerusalemites every strong man and every strong woman. He's going to take the strength of your bread and water. Okay, now that was the translation, right? Applause. Chewy, we need some kind of applause. No, yeah, not really. What does the Hebrew make of this? Because what you're looking at, what I'm going to show you, is the Hebrew translation of that Greek text. Now, that gets us into a little background. You can brainwash them with pictures now. That gets us into a little necessary background. There's a letter, and this letter is a forgery, but the letter states that the people who wrote the Septuagint. That was a group of rabbis, 72 of them. I've got 72 slides tonight. 72 of them. And that they got together and by the power of Yahoo, they all came up with the same translation. Wonderful, just a beautiful, beautiful fairy tale. But that fairy tale was meant for a reason. What I'm going to show you now is the translation of that into Hebrew, which, remember, this is the 3rd century. Okay? 3rd century. Hebrew's been dead as dead can get. I want to ask you before we begin this, before I show you the Hebrew, I want to ask you, give me the name of one Hebrew author outside of the Septuagint. In Greek, the TLG will tell you we've got a good standard 4,000-ish. Okay. If you were to take all the names of all the authors that are quoted from the ancient texts that we've got, you've got thousands upon thousands. Give me the name of one Hebrew author outside of the Old Testament. Give me one name. Surely they have medical writers. Everybody's got medical writers. Even the Egyptians. Even the Egyptians have medical writers. And you say, oh, well, the Egyptians were hoo-ha, boo-ha. This is literature we're talking about. Writing. This is evidence. We're not here for ideas. We're here for evidence. Yes, okay. So let's see what happens when you take that and now you're trying to forge. Tonight's show is all about forgery and fraudulence. If you are fraudulent, you'll be found out. Tonight on The Big Lie. Oh, I love it. It sounds like a detective show or something. I love that. Who is that? Chewy? Is that a saint? Is that a saint? Oh, it's Isaiah. There he is. Thank you. He's got a nice desk. I like that. Nice job, Isaiah. Okay, let's keep going. Give me the next one because it's the Hebrew now that we're going to jump to. Go. Hit it. Oh, first the New International Version. See now the Lord Almighty is about to take from Jerusalem and Judah both supply and support. All supplies of food and all supplies of water. Okay. Terribly off from the Greek. What happened to the strong man and the strong woman? Because ladies, you're going to love it. It's all full of women tonight. Remember, Yahoo loves child sacrifice and hates women. Right? This is blatant, bold misogyny. You know why he hated them here in Isaiah? Because they were ruling. They were archontes. Are you kidding? They're rulers? Take them out. Yes, that's you have to remember. Don't forget Yahoo. And I'm going to show you the name Yahoo and why I say Yahoo. Hit it. Where's Isaiah? Get the thing on here. Who? Oh, prophet's buttocks. That's what we have, a prophet's buttocks. Oh, love it. Okay, go to the next one. What is that New International Version based on? All the English is going to be based on the Masoretic Hebrew fiction of the 9th and 10th centuries. Okay? That's what it is. Remember the Dead Sea Scrolls? Everybody thinks the Dead Sea Scrolls were like, Hebrew originals. No. Why do you think they found them with Greek? Because the Greek text had been long established. Yes. It's the sad fact of one language dying when another comes in and totally takes it out. Yes. Oh, it was a slaughter. My God. What Greek did, and to how many languages did Greek do it? Oh, God. Whew. People think Alexander the Great spread Hellenism. I got news for you. He spread the language, and the language consumed it, set the people on fire. Right? Oh, love it. Love the language. Go to it. Yep. Here's the Hebrew now. Okay, here's the Hebrew. Blow it up for me, Chew. I got to get my glasses. So here's that same verse, Who's the Lord we're talking about here? Yahweh. See Yahweh there? That's Kurios, right? People love to translate that as Yahweh. Some of the things that you see, like they'll use one word in Greek to translate two different Hebrew words, right? So get ready for the vocabulary skill to drop through the floor. Are you ready? Yeah. So behold, the Lord Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, that's Sabaoth, right? Takes away from Jerusalem and from Jordan. What is this? The stock in the store? What happened to my dude and my dudette? What happened to them? They got rid of them. That's interesting. What happened? Let's keep going. See if this mystery will pull itself together. Give me the Hebrew term. What is the Hebrew term we're concerned about? Mission, a support or staff. That has nothing to do with a person. Whoever was translating this from the Greek had to rely upon much more simpler expressions. Why? Because at the time, Greek was liturgical. Hebrew was liturgical. There's nothing they could do. There's Greek all over the walls of your synagogues, right? So this is a Hebrew problem, not a cultural or historical problem. The Hebrew language was inadequate. It was inadequate. So I'm going to show you technically how a language that has less technical terminology and is functioning at a lower level can't bear the signal of that high tech. And we're going to prove that tonight with the purple. Oh, I love it. Love this stuff. Okay, let's go. Thank you, people, for coming. Thank you, Gnostic. I will be there. Go to the next one. And look, this is verse 2. What else is Yahoo going to take from everybody? Look at verse 2. He's going to take the giants and he's going to take the strong and the person who is the war trained and the die cast. He's going to take what? The die cast. Hang on to that thought. What else is he going to take? He's going to take the prophet. The prophet. Wait, what's a prophet? Let's see. Then he's going to take the stochastein and the old person, the elder, you could say. He's going to take all that stuff away because, those are the resources of those communities. Now, let's see what the Hebrew text does with this. Let's see. I think I got a picture, don't you, Chewy? Let's see what the Hebrew text does. Yeah, there we go. Oh, here we go. The mighty man and the man of war, right? So I just got to warn you, the Greek here used a very specific adjective indicating a type of person who has been trained in the arts of war. The Hebrew has to use much more simpler man of war, right? Do you hear how the level of specificity drops? Yes. Okay. Keep going. They got the elder right. Wait, what else did they put there? I forgot to. They say the judge and the prophet and the diviner and the elder, right? They got the elder in there. Let's see about the others. Let's see how close they hit. Roger that. Let me see how close they got. Here's the man of war, right? That ish of war, right? Ish and Isha, right? Look, at the simplicity of the expression. Hit me the next one. What is that in the Greek original? Yeah, it's specifically somebody trained in the arts of war. It is a technical station or post. Give me the next one. Or are we gonna? Yeah, you can come back to that. Go ahead. Yeah. Boom. What it is the war? Is it anything specific, or is it just kind of? No, it's just battle or war, right? Malchama. Okay, go to the next one. Cool. All right, I'm feeling it. What is a dikastes? What is that? That's a judge. So on the Hebrew side, they got the judge part, but I want you to look at this word. How much more specific we've got to go. Look, in Athens, just notice where we are as a linguist. Notice where we are. In Athens, it means a juror. Okay. Can it mean a judge? Yes, it's a juror. It's also this thing that was very popular in the ancient world, the avenger. The avenger, right? That's a servant of decay. That's as pagan as it gets. The avenger, right? Great. Go to the next one. That's what our diecast is. What do we get on the Hebrew side? It really is coming from this verb, right? It's non-specifically judging or governing. Now, my problem is the Greek already has a verb for one who sits in judgment as a governor. And I think that's what this is probably closest to. And they would have known that. If I know that, they would have known that in antiquity. Yeah, their linguists are great, right? Classics is the first education. Yeah, love it. The museum comes from it. Okay, so we're going from the specific to the general when we go from the Greek to the Hebrew. Now, remember, the story is that it went from Hebrew to Greek. So as you're thinking about these translations, realize what the person who would be translating it into Greek would have to do to ramp up that technical expertise, right? You either can do a triple Lutz or you can't. And Hebrew was not able to do the triple Lutz. Okay. And it's not the only language. There's a ton in Italy. All those dialects that the Romans wiped out linguistically, same thing, right? There are strong languages and there are weak languages. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Now, here's your prophet, people. What else did he say he's going to take from him? Prophets. I just want you to notice, okay, this is, one who speaks for a God. That sounds pretty good. I want you to notice how many references there are to different classical works that use this Greek word prophet. Prophet, okay? Notice, blow it up. Notice that it's a herald, sure. Look at the very bottom. Look at the very bottom. Go to the next slide. What does it say? It says herbalist. You mean your prophet is an herbalist? I would have one objection. Yes, but it's more in a medical sense. So I would say pharmacologist. Yeah, that's what I would put it. You mean your prophets were on dope? Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Love it. Go to the next one. Look at the 3 and 4 here, people. An expounder of the utterances of the mantis. You guys know the mantis and the mantic art. You know that. That's all through Apollo, right? You thought the word prophet was, no, it's not Charlton Heston, right? No, it's not. That's a fantasy world. It's part of the big lie, right? We're peeling back that big lie tonight. Look at 3 and 4, possessor of oracular powers. Look at where they're going. They're going to the oracles. Look, it's used of Epimenides. He was a cool guy who had tattoos all over himself. And he would carry this colt's hoof. And in it, he would put this white root that he would snort. Yeah. Yeah. They kept his skin, turned it into a book. Why not? Go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. Are people commenting? I'm going to get people's comments in a minute. Chewy, if there's any good comments, throw them up there. Look, people, what is the prophet on the Hebrew side? A spokesman? A speaker? Okay, but then you're using a Greek term to define your Hebrew term because you said prophet, right? That's a Greek term. Yeah. So do you see the depth here? I asked you before, could you name me one Hebrew author from antiquity outside, and I'm talking BC, okay, outside of the Septuagint? Give me one. I don't know, a 7th century dude. You thought Isaiah was 8th? Then certainly, if Isaiah is late Iron Age, what? Aren't we going to have some kind of record? Aren't we going to have some kind of written? No, you're not, because the stuff doesn't exist. The oldest inscriptions of Hebrew, people question them as even being Hebrew, right? Yeah. It's not the history that you thought was there. It was the history that was amplified, that you've been fed, that you're living in, that you're breathing. Yes. Okay. Go. Keep going. Let's give Isaiah another spanking. Let's go, people. Love it while you can, while it's hot. Oh, which one? Here. Okay. Here we go. And what is a stochasteon? This is something, a conjecture. I like that. I like that. Look where it says, that's Polybius they're talking about. And is he roughly contemporary? Yeah, he's in the same range where our authors of the Septuagint are. So the person who really wrote the books of Moses in the 3rd century, we're getting closer to their specific lingo. And this is one of the words. Fantastic. Well, what's he going to do? He's going to take away the people who can come up with the right plan, right? He's going to take that away. It's a resource. I told you these are all resources that he's got there. It makes much more sense in the Greek than it does the terrible dumbed down Hebrew translation. It's a shame. This is a beautiful text. Go to the next one. Here we go. What's the word for it that they're using for that? They're using this one, right? Kasam. And what does that mean? Well, to practice divination. Are you kidding me? Okay. What does that mean? That's not a definition. It's not a definition. It's like a catch-all. Okay. What car are you in? Well, I'm driving. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. It's very non-specific. And that's the problem, because remember, Hebrew only has about 8,000 unique words. Right? They missed basic words. Why don't we have them? Because it got slaughtered as a language. It was only the attempt to bring it back starting in the 2nd century, right? The synagogues are still full of Greek, right? People realized, oh, we need some kind of original to take command of this text. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that something? And so they wrote it. They created it. They were already doing it with the Dead Sea Scrolls, right? They had the Greek originals there, and they had the Hebrew copies of them. Okay, watch this. Watch how the technical language, it shows it every time. It's the technical language. Hit me with the next one. Are you sure we're that far? Okay. Look at verse number 3. Who else is Yahoo going to remove from society? Look at the first word on the second line. Pentekontarchon. Pentekontarchon. What is that? Sounds important, right? Look at that. Look at the length of that. People, I don't do this always, but just love the length of that first word on the second line. Can everybody see that? Love the look at that. How many? I'd like to measure that word. I'd like to measure it. I would. It might cause some frightening reactions. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Pentekontarchon. Oh, it even sounds, it sounds like, I don't know. It makes me want to, put on some music. Sorry, I got drawn in. And what else is Yahoo going to take away? He's going to take away the Pentakontarch. The what? He's going to take away a specific position. What is that thing? Let's see. Chewy, give me the next slide. What is that? Looks like it's got the word 5 in it. No, give me the next one after that. This one. No, there we go. That's it. Look at this, people. Commander. It's a commander of how many? Of 50. Right? 50. Look where it's landing. It's landing in Xenophon. And he tells us this is somebody who serves under the Triarchos. This is the Triarch. Yeah. And what does he do? He's like an admiral. Yeah. He has to outfit a trireme. Yeah. So this is a very specific, once again, Athenian word. Okay, let's see what the Hebrew did with it. Let's see. I'm willing to bet it's not nearly as specific. Blow it up. Yeah, put it up there and blow it up. This is fantastic. Oh, God. What's the jury say? Look, the captain of 50. So use the number 50 and put the word for captain in there because you don't have this position, right? So do you see, for the Greek to be a translation of the Hebrew, the dude would have to be stoned. He would have to be like, oh, God, how can I jazz this up? How can I, you know what I mean? So the captain of 50, that's not real inspiring, right? But it's blunt and to the point. It's the loss of technicality, and watch as you wash out the technicality, it becomes nonsense. The translation becomes nonsense. And by the way, you can do this with any chapter of the Septuagint, right? You might as well throw a dart at which chapter, and whatever you hit, try that. And it's full of laughs, linguistic laughs. Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilariously bad. It's also sad. I feel like playing a violin or something. Give me the next one. Yeah, there's the captain of the 50. We know, we saw that. Let's go on to the next. Okay. And there's our commander who's serving under the Triarch. Yeah. Okay. Keep going. What else is he going to take? He's going to take away the sumbulon. Oh, now this is fantastic. Give me the definition that's coming up. What is a sumbulon? Watch this, people. This is going to grow your brain. This is an advisor or counselor. Okay, public or private, cool. That's cool. Look at all the sources around it, and you're going to notice Athenian, 5th century, the majority, the first orators up there, the first comedians up there. Yeah. The first tragedians up there, and a bunch of others. Oh, God. Look at it. As a title at Athens, the Thesmothetai. Okay, the Thesmothetes. They're the ones who appointed the Sumbuloi. And this is what Yahoo is going to take from you. Now, who is you? The audience of this. Our 3rd century, disenfranchised culturally, Jewish, religious extremists, right? These are the guys in the caves copying documents, right? Brilliant move to do so. Because when you generate the big lie, you take a hold of the narrative. It gives you grounding and justification to do whatever you want to do. And that usually involves the seizure and acquisition of some land, some resource. That's how that works. Yeah. Now, how can I say that? Because that's exactly what they do with the language. If you look at the language as a resource, right? That's what this is doing. It's trying to draw down That's what the Hebrew is doing. It's trying to draw down that sophisticated Greek, but put it into a vessel that was incapable of carrying it. It was too much, right? Burst the pot. Okay, let's go. Hit me the next one. Let's hit it. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is the council. Fine. To advise or to counsel, right? Okay, I think that's acceptable. Let's give him that one. Nice job. Nice job. Whoever did this, nice job. What about this one? What'd you guys do with the architectona? Isn't that a good one? Look, that's a big one too. Everybody in Greek, you see the arche sitting in there and the tect, right? Oh, that production. Production is getting to me. It's from the arche. So how are we going to define it, right? Stretch your mind, everybody. The chief artificer, the master builder, the director of works. This is the guy who builds your bridges, it says in Greek. It's got Herodotus. It's got Aristotle. Look, where are we again? Vocabulary-wise, people, where are we again? We're hitting square every time at the 5th century down to the 3rd. We're hitting it square. This is the exact language that we would expect coming out of the 3rd century. Exactly. An author, a contriver. And look at the final one. At Athens, by the way, this is the manager of the State Theater and of the Dionysia. Great festival, right? He's going to take those away from you. And you say, wait a minute. Where am I culturally? Because unless I am mistaken, the people of Israel do not worship Bacchus. And that's who he's talking about. He goes on, the prophet Isaiah goes on to talk about those assemblies that we make, those parades that we make, and all the women are there, and you got your girls out in their gossamer clothing, and we're all getting aroused. Why aren't they in burqas? Right? That's Isaiah 3. It's Bacchic rites. So you have to ask yourself, why in a text am I reading about Bacchic rites in Judea? Right? Oh, isn't that something? Isn't that something? Remember, we are sitting in the 3rd century BC, and we have been culturally disenfranchised. And a lot of us became traitors and embraced the Greek ways. Yeah, now they're doing what they're doing. It's totally integrated, right? If you are an extremist, you understand the power of the Logos. That's what they used in antiquity. Those histories, that material from the libraries. Yeah, that was the reality. So when somebody comes along and tries to fake a text and say, oh, this is the original, they're doing it for a very good reason, right? Legitimacy. When you need legitimacy and are willing to sacrifice everything for it, you fabricate. Yeah. It's an unfortunate reality of history. Don't think that the Christians didn't mount up that wave and ride it all the way in. Even though people like Julius Africanus was saying, this text is not written in Hebrew. You people are nuts. And Origen's like, yeah. That's all he could do. He just shrugged. He shrugged it off. What do you want me to do? Right? Let's ride this thing. It's too bad. It's too bad. Why do we care at satanic initiation? Because that's not the history. That's not the history. The history is this text is Greek originally. Yeah. Yeah. And it's got some things in it that are lovely. Watch this. Let's go. Let's go to the next one. Let's convert everybody. Chewy, it's the lanes are full of. Here's your skillful artisan. So I want you to notice, okay, they've got a term equated with an artisan who's skillful. Just want you to notice that. You get a taste for where the culture is, right? Now, where did they get their word craftsman? Oh, okay. So wait a minute. This is a name. It's actually a proper name, right? It's not based upon the action of a craftsman. Has nothing to do with the history of the craftsman. It's a name. Maybe they were a family of craftsmen. Okay, so you can see that the derivation of that word is kind of questionable at best, right? And you'll find that a lot in the Hebrew translation of the Septuagint. You'll find that the more you go and do your lexical work, you'll find they don't really know what this word means, right? And if you only have 8,000 unique words, that's a huge problem. You mean you got a percentage of those words that, we think we understand, but yeah, no, it's a bad place to be. So, hey, languages just aren't born equal. That's the way it is. Some of them dominated and some of them didn't. Okay, let's go to the next one. Isn't language beautiful though? Okay, what else are we looking for? As Jehovah's going to be taken out of the world. He's going to be taken that craftsman. He's going to be taking that wise craftsman, and he's also going to be taking the knowing akroaten. What is an akroaten? Next one, please. What is he going to be taking? He's going to be taking these away. Now, what is this? It's a person who hears. Are you ready? This is really native Greek, right? Really native Greek. Yeah. And when I say that, I just have to mention, by the way, there was a language discovered in northern Turkey that is descendant from the Greek of Hellenistic Greece. They still speak it. They don't have anything recorded of it, but they still speak it. And what's funny, as I've been telling you, modern Greek is nothing close. Okay, don't fool yourself. It's not. I worked with modern Greek students in classics, right? And they would be the first to tell you it's a whole different ball game. Yeah. But this language they just discovered in northern Turkey, it is a sister language to the Hellenistic Greek, and they gave a couple of examples grammatically how it is, and some uses of infinitives and whatnot. I thought that was nice, elegant. And the funny thing was in the article they said, and it's totally unrelated to modern Greek. Like there's no overlap whatsoever. I thought that was telling. I'm sorry, modern Greek. I'm sorry as a language. I'm sorry, but that's what happens when you take a 14-year-old and put her in a habit and put her into a prison where she's not allowed to bloom. That's what happens. Linguistically, that's what happens. Okay, let's get back on it. Speaking of linguistically, next one. Let's go. These people want their values worth. I said I was going to ruffle some feathers. Look at this. What is the word for it? Whispering or charming? Whispering or charming? What is that hearer? Is that really a whisperer or charmer? Go back to the last one. Boom. Look, people. Look at the second line in A. A disciple and a pupil. Right? A disciple or a pupil. And my goodness, look at Roman numeral number 2. A reader? Are you kidding me? A reader. Okay, so this is one of the things they're going to be taking away. This is not something that the Hebrew was able to recognize. So the Hebrew used instead a whispering or a charming as a noun. Okay, not the same thing. Definitely not the same thing. Go to the next one. We're starting to degrade here. Now watch, it's going to get worse. Look at, and I'll hurry up here because I know, we've got 10 minutes. My people. My people what? The proctores are taking everything from you. The proctores are taking everything from you. Yes. And what's worse is the apaituntes. These are the people who are ruling you, says Isaiah. Now, who are proctores? Let's see. Yeah. Who are proctores, right? They're officials who execute a judgment for debt. Okay. Again, highly specific word. This is a societal position, a civic position, if you will, right? Somebody who's coming to collect a debt, right? Looks at like taxes are also involved. Okay, give me the next one. Go back to that one. How does the Hebrew handle this? Okay, as for my people, their oppressors are children. Wait, is this the same line? Yes, it's the same line. And women rule over them. Wait a minute, that wasn't any of the Greek. What's happening here? There's going to be no word for this position because there wasn't that position when Hebrew was around to be able to assimilate it. So they didn't have it. So what do you use? You use something general like oppressor. Oppressor. Well, okay. Where are you getting the children? Go back to the Greek verse. Where are they getting the children? My people, those who control the retrieval of debts, they're going to be all over you. And who are going to rule over you? The apaituntes. Give me the next one. Boom. Yeah. Here we go. What is it to apaiteo? It's to demand something back, right? To get something to be returned, right? Okay. Look at it in the passive. I think this is neat. To be demanded in payment. To be demanded in payment. Okay, so these are people not only are they going to come to collect their debts, right, that you've got with them, but they are also going to show up and be all mouthy. Yeah. Oh my goodness, this is terrible news, right? Let's see. I still don't see. The Hebrew was way off. What's the Hebrew? And it said, these are the people. Okay, the mouthy are these people, women. How as a translator? Remember, now the story is in this letter of Aristeas that Yahoo blessed this event of translating from the Hebrew to the Greek. So for some reason, when they went from the Hebrew woman, they got to an oppressor who comes and takes away your furniture while yelling at you. Okay, this is not a good translation. You cannot go from a lower level of technical expertise linguistically to a higher. You can't do it. Yeah, you can only reach the equivalent or less. And if you don't have a highly technical language, you aren't going up that ladder. You only have 8,000 words, Hebrew. You had your guts beaten out of you by ancient Greek, man, that dominated the world. Don't worry, they even went over and gave it to those hut-dwelling Romans. Oh, God. You know what Marcus Aurelius read? He read Greek. He wrote in Greek. And he was the Roman emperor. Why would he do that? Because number one, he was on drugs. And the drugs were making him smarter. And the Greek was a necessary component. It was a catalyst that just made the whole reaction take off. Yeah. Oh, God. Bunch of druggies. It's amazing history. I love it. But, nobody wants to see the dirty stuff. You do, my congregation. Okay, look. Gnostic is like, hurry up. All right, let's go. Look, verse 13. Yeah. Okay. Now look here. I just wanted to show you something that's colloquial, and that it's colloquial in Greek, not in Hebrew. So, verse 13 says, "And now the Kurios established a judgment. He brought a judgment upon the people." Okay, and it's using a verb kathistemi, right, which is based upon the concept of standing, but it's been augmented by the kath to become establish, to ground, right, to ready something. Yeah, and this is what the Hebrew do with that. Oh, it's terrible. This is a slaughter. Turn away for those of you who have weak linguistic stomachs. Blow it up. Blow it up. He stands up. Oh God, there's Yahoo. Now look at Yahoo. You can't tell that it's written that way. Could be Yahoo too. Okay, so don't get mad at me when I say Yahoo. Thank you. Yeah. And by the way, they use different ways to translate for Yahweh, right? Hashem, right? They use different ways of translating that from one Greek term. So why would they do that thing? Because they're composing it in the 3rd century, and they're trying to split. They're trying to create their own identity, right? You can't just list what it looks like Greek. They're probably, as they were trying to figure it out, they probably draft one. And they were like, no way. That is way too transparently Greek, right? Love it. Lol, Amen is the man. I love that. Thank you. That was a good one. Don't put any of the bad ones up. No. All right. Unless I'm going to hell. Let's go to one more. Keep going down wherever we were from last time. Yeah. Are we on the right? Okay. Yeah, the schema. He's going to take this away too. Oh, we got to go back up. We missed a couple. Here. Hang on, people. I'm sorry. I apologize. I have messed up my order here. Okay, there we go. What was the translation of that passage? The translation is, the Lord stands up. No, it's a Greek idiom. Establishing justice, right, is to rule. Yeah, is to bring that authority. It's to literally establish that authority. So there's no standing up. There's no actual standing up. Yeah. Otherwise, the Greeks wouldn't use that idiom, right? They could just say that the Lord stood up, right? What you can see is the attempt of the rabbis to draw down the more sophisticated or complex Greek into the limited capacity Hebrew. Unfortunate. It's an unfortunate linguistic exercise. Let's go to that one. Good. Look at this, people. Verse 17. And God, watch this. Yeah. God's going to do what? He's going to humiliate those daughters of Zion who rule. Wait, what? What? Who's ruling? Who are these women? I'm starting to like this a little bit better. And kai kurios apokalypse, and the Lord. They may put Yahweh there, they may not. It's whatever the particular circumstances were. Kai kurios, and the kurios did what? He's going to do what? He's going to apocalypse. He's going to reveal. What's he going to reveal? He's going to reveal their schema. He's going to reveal the schema of these daughters of Zion who are ruling. And you say, what is a schema? What is he going to reveal of theirs? Now watch this. It gets dirty. It's the Hebrew that makes it dirty, not me. Go ahead. What is a schema in Greek? It's a form. It's a form of something, right? A shape they have. Look at B. It's an atom. Yeah, it's the appearance of something as opposed to the reality. The appearance of something. And then look down at B. It's the dress or equipment. Do you know what he's going to do? He's going to take away all that fine dress and equipment of those ruling women. Now, let's see what the Hebrew made of that. Do we get it through? The message come through? Here we go. Are you ready? What? Therefore, he will strike with a scab. Now, I know that first part of the Hebrew there is just the word and. I don't know where they're pulling the therefore out of there, if you can even do that with wa. I don't know. Yeah, but okay, wait. So, look, they used Adonai here. So, they really don't know how to use that Greek word properly, and they're cramming all of these gods into it. Okay, just wait. Maybe they felt good because of Adonis. I don't know. But the Lord is going to strike with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of, there he is, Yahoo. Right. And what is he going to do? Look at the second line. He's going to uncover their secret parts dirty. That's what is going on in the mind of that author, because that's not from the Greek. My goodness, close your eyes, Chewy. The Bible is dirty. It's dirty stuff. And first of all, why would he do that? Like, seriously, right? The Greek makes sense. It says he's going to take away their kit, their dress, their jewels. He's going to take all of that away. It's nothing about their private parts is in there. Right now, if this is as they want you to believe, as seminaries would have you believe, as religious training would have you believe, and whichever of the monotheist religions you want that don't worship the gods like the rest of us, right? They're going to have this as a background. They're telling you the Hebrew is being translated by the Greek. The Greek is the new copy, right? That's the original language. Now, somehow, if that says in Hebrew, but the private parts of these women who are ruling, right? He's going to uncover that. The translator had to go from private parts to schema, which has nothing to do with private parts. So either it's a bad translation and Yahoo was bad, because remember, Yahoo blessed this thing, and it was magically turned out to be everybody wrote the same translation of these 72 guys, right? So either he's a bad translator, or more realistically, the language is just incapable of conveying the original Greek. It's just the way it is. Watch these technical terms I'm going to throw you. Give me the next one. Yeah. And so what is your English translation for? So for everybody sitting in synagogue or church, sitting there and you're reading through, blah, blah, blah. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab on the crown of the head. That's not there. The daughters of Zion, you'll be like, oh, that's a nasty thing to do, right? And the Lord will discover their secret parts. Look, it's even discover, because you can tell the King James or whoever it was that translated this was a little bit uncomfortable with the whole private parts business, right? Where is the chorus? Where is the chorus of my sisters of frustration? Where are you? I can't hear you. I need to hear your shouts of ecstasy whenever we come across. It gets my goat that we don't hear your shouts of ecstasy, because that's what here I am. Hello, Penelope. You got my goat. Everybody say hi to Penelope. I don't care if you dislike this portion of the show. I want you to focus on that cross. I want you to look at that cross. I want you to see it. I want you to see what it's covering. That cross covers a whole multitude of Penelope's sin. Okay, enough. Thank you, Penelope. Good night. All right. It's wonderful to have her. We can't be that far up, are we? Gnostic is going to fall asleep. Keep going. Give me the next couple. Okay. Look, I wanted you to see this. I'm going to cut short the rest of it. I'm just going to show you. With this passage, for example, this is verse 18. So this is Isaiah 3:18. Yeah. In that day, it says, the Lord is going to take away the glory of the hematismu. And long story short, that is the way that one dresses, right? And what else is he going to take away? Tous cosmos. You refer to the cosmos as the woman's makeup kit. Yeah. So it can include jewelry. It's not just the drugs that they're putting on their faces, right? Skin drugs, all sorts of drugs all over the place, right? Including those drugs that control reproduction, right? Even those, you put those in there, right? This is your life's pharmacy kit. That's the cosmos. It's that order. And so this is what he's going to fight against. He's going to take away your hairdos, right? He's going to take away your hair nets. And long story short, none of these terms are captured. Give me the next one. We have it's terrible. The translation gets terrible. And I just want to jump. Oh, these are all Athenian too. I want you to realize these are all Athenian terms. Again, placing the language squarely 5th, 4th, 3rd centuries. Good. Give me that. I'm going to fly. Watch this. These are just things that are there that it's hard for us to be able to capture. And they have to do with this little... Here, I'm going to jump ahead to... Is it this one? Look at this. Did I totally overdo it or what? What else is the Lord? Here's the punchline. People. What else is the Lord going to take away? He's going to take away the periporphora. The periporphora? Yeah. And what else is the Lord going to take away? The Lord's going to take away ta mesoporphora. Are you kidding? These are terms everybody saw. This is the first term that comes up in the library, the end of that word periporphora. That's the first word of the great Herculaneum Library for the future historians. The great Herculaneum Library. The very first word that comes out is that purple. Right? And we've got it here in the text. Not only that, we're going to tack something else on the front of it. The mesoporphora. And tell me, what does the Hebrew translate those as? Blow it up. What does the Hebrew translate those as? The rings and the jewels with the word nose tagged on it. Wait, the rings and the nose jewels? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Do you see what happened there? That's a guess, bro. Whoever made that translation was downright guessing. Now, here's the problem. The Greek actually matches with the whole context because he's attacking these women, right, who are priestesses, and he's attacking their validity, and he's going to take away all of their wardrobe. Yeah. Nice. Gorgeous. And that purple is part of it. You know what those purple words are? They're different terms for using that gorgeous material stained with the purple. Oh, God. He's going to take that away. But no, the Hebrew comes along and says, no, you must be rings and nose jewels, because everybody knows you need the rings and the nose jewels. Yeah. Why did they do that? I'll never know. That's a mystery of our history right there. They didn't want the purple. They wanted jewels. Okay. So you can see, people, that the story, the narrative of this being translated into Greek from the Hebrew is completely made up. You would have to be completely stoned and just inventing things to make, I don't know, the story better. Wow. Okay, let's go. I'm going to pull one out. This is the last one, Neil, and I'm coming. Are you ready for this? This is, boom. I was going to take you all through the purple, but instead I'm going to end with this one. No, this is more the same. This is, no, darn it. There we are. Here, take down the initiating. People, I love this. Oh, I get so excited. I'm about to burst. Are you ready? Look at the verse 22. Kai ta epiblemata ta kata ten oikion, kai ta diaphane laconica. Ooh, isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? Laconica. You see that word before the letter, before the end of the verse, capital lambda on the front of it. Those of you who recognize the Greek now will see that that's Laconian. Wait, what does it say? It says that Kurios is going to take from you those things. Remember, we're talking about their wardrobe, those things that you put on at your home in your privacy. And what are those things? One of them is a Laconian see-through, a diaphanous Laconian nightgown. And that's what Kurios is going to take from you. Now, wait a minute. You mean in the Bible it refers to the Spartans? Yeah, it does. Because remember, this is being written in the 3rd century, right? There's nothing novel about the Laconians then. Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. Why is Isaiah, who supposedly is way back, why is centuries earlier, why is he writing about the Laconians? That's interesting. Let's see what the Hebrew does with it, because now this is a problem. This is a problem. This is not only a linguistic problem, because you can't represent that in Hebrew, but it looks bad culturally. A lot of the changes that are made from the original Greek in the Septuagint to the Hebrew have to do with control of content. That's what people always want when they rewrite. They want control of content. And you guys know how it works. Where we worship the muse, nobody controls content. You don't make your soup here. This is a pure stream. You're all gone. Yeah. Oh, God. Love that. What does the Hebrew do with the Laconian? Let's just show this, because I know Neil's going to love this. Open it up. Open it up. Okay, what? The festal apparel and the mantles and the outer garments and the purses? Wait, what were we looking for, Chewy? There was something big there. There was Laconians. They're Spartans. Where'd the Spartans go? They cut out the Spartans. They cut out the Spartans. Okay, now what they would have you believe is that you don't have Spartans, but the translation does, because God is perfect. Yeah. I don't know. It looks like God could have gotten better linguists, to be honest. Yeah. That's terrible. That's terrible. You guys blew it. I'm talking to the goofballs who came up with the idea of writing this fake letter of Aristeas and saying, look, this great person asked the king, and the king was like, yes, I need a translation. Yes, no, they didn't care, right? No, the person who came up with that the load of the history of the Septuagint, because what that did was that load compelled Christianity forward. It established a legitimacy that was strong enough to dissolve classical wisdom. Yeah, it's like some kind of acid ate right through it. Yeah. What you're watching is the monad take out everybody else, because that's what it does. That's what monotheism does. It doesn't matter what color or taste or variety it is. Monotheism kills classical civilization. The civilization that brought you democracy and the scientific method, that civilization, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and that stuff they worshipped around Akhenaten, that stuff kills classical wisdom. Yes, it does. It does. So when the libraries start getting burned, that's when you know your temperature is too high and your proportion of radicals is way too high. Right? Every 150 years, just to bring in just the present for a second, every 150 years, says Tom, someone is going to try to pull down the government, the established government. Yeah. Yeah. And who is it typically? I had somebody ask me this week, can't you combine Christianity to include everyone? Can't you combine Christianity and the Abrahamic faiths? Can't you combine those to welcome them? Julian, who we now call Julian the Apostate, Julian, the last pagan emperor, said, they're going to do it again. They're going to burn us down, just like they did in the first. Yeah, just like they did. It's the mission of monotheism to dominate and destroy. It's the mission. How's it coming? The watchers are watching. By the way, did you see we had giants and we didn't have Nephilim flying around? Right? No, those are just prominent people. Thank you for coming tonight. I am going to now give you an added bonus. I am going to hand over the stage to Gnostic Informant. And before Gnostic Informant starts speaking, I just want to let you know that his source work has been absolutely dazzling. Yeah, and I told him, Neil, I told him that you purchased and are using all of the lobes, and you are eating up. You're trying to consume like some kind of artificial intelligence or something. You're just like trying to consume everything. So you have a great offering right now, and it's about some stuff that I don't know, and I'm going to have to listen to your authority. Okay?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Go for it.
Thanks for having me on, dude. And that was some interesting stuff that I've just now hearing about the linguistic side of this, because I don't know anything about the linguistics. I have no I don't have the knowledge of linguistics to be able to say who's translating from what, but those are some fucking slam dunk points that I just heard right there. So I'm gonna have to look into all that. That's amazing. I want to look at the historical side of this. Where's the evidence of a big literary era of all these prophets and writers and scribes, and like we have prophets writing these long texts that are, you know, about all these prophecies and events that are happening and politics and all this. So you would expect, if you're writing these, you're writing to an audience, right? You're writing to somebody. You're not just writing to nobody. So you would expect people citing these texts. You would expect there to be like a chain of reactions to these texts, people talking back and forth, something, anything. Well, we don't get that. So let me just say this. I want to start with what are other people saying about the origins of Israel? And the last time I was here, we had on we were talking about Tacitus's story about the history of the Hebrews, and it's a story that's only in a couple of sources. I think Plutarch talks about it, Manetho, and then Hecataeus of Abdera. His story seems to line up with this story. It's an alternate account, and I looked into some of this stuff and see does this hold any water. So I'm going to pull up a source from Loeb. I love this website too. This is amazing stuff. Let me see it. Let me make sure this is big enough for everybody. How's that? There we go. Actually, let me back that up one. There we go. All right. So Tacitus is telling this story in the early 2nd century about who are these Jews? We don't really know much about them. This is, you know, they're kind of late on the scene as far as ancient civilizations go, as far as the Egyptians, the Greeks. Punics, Phoenicians, Carthaginians. We all know those people. They're in every text. We could find hundreds of people mentioning Carthage, people mentioning Phoenicians, people mentioning the Egyptians, people mentioning the Ionians, people mentioning the Pelasgians, people mentioning the Scythians. They're all over the place in these sources. But nobody ever mentions the Jews until, well, okay, there's a couple of rocks that people have found that mention certain kings like Omri. Very, very little bit, like little city-state. So the evidence looks like there's a little city-state kingdom going on in Jerusalem and in Jezreel. Other than that, no one's writing about these people. So what's going on here? So let's read this. Read this story, and I'm just going to go. I got a lot of things that I want to go through, but it's all going to come back to what Amon was saying. All right. So he says, at the beginning of this of the same year, Titus Caesar, who had selected by his father to complete the subjugation of Judea. He's basically saying, like, we just subjugated this place, Judea. Let's go through the history. So he says, so this is what he says. It is said that the Jews were originally exiles from the island of Crete, who settled in the farthest parts of Libya at the time when Saturn had been deposed and expelled by Jove. An argument for this is derived in the name. There is a famous mountain in Crete called Ida. Hence, the inhabitants were called Idea, which is lengthened in the barbarous form Judea. All right. Some hold that the reign of Isis is superfluous to the population of Egypt under the leadership of Hieroshlymus, which is in Greek means holy-minded. It's a name in Greek. It's interesting. You never hear about that. Like, what does Jerusalem mean? Well, here's one etymology given by Tacitus. It's named after a king named Hieroshlymus. And Judah discharged itself on the neighboring lands and many others. You gotta think, where is he getting this from? Would he make this? Is this something someone would just make up? Just keep that in the back of your mind. All right. Still, others report that they were Assyrian refugees, landless people who first got control of a part of Egypt, and possibly maybe a little bit of both. Maybe when I read this, I'm thinking the evidence shows the Philistines there's evidence that the Philistines did come from Crete. And the Assyrian refugees thing sort of matches up with these people coming together in this area called Canaan. So I'm going to continue with this part. This is where it gets crazy. Most authors agree that once during a plague in Egypt, which caused bodily disfigurement, King Bacchus approached the oracle of Ammon. I'm going to get to who this is in a minute. Just give me a second. King Bacchus approached the oracle of Ammon, asked for a remedy, whereupon he was told, wait, am I still on the same page? Okay, good. Asked for a remedy where he was told to purge his kingdom and transport this race into other lands, since it was hateful to the gods. So the Hebrews were searched out and gathered together. Then, being abandoned in the desert, while all others lay idle and weeping, one only of the exiles, Moses by name, warned them not to hope for help from the gods or men, for they were deserted by both, but to trust to themselves, regarding as a guide sent from heaven, the one whose assistance should first give them escape from their present distress. So he's basically saying, whatever sign we get from heaven, that's going to be our God. That's what we're going to look for, a sign from heaven to find a new God, because the Egyptian Ammon does not like us. They agreed, and they set out on their journey in utter ignorance, but trusting to chance. Nothing caused them so much distress as scarcity of water. And in fact, they had already fallen exhausted over the plain nigh unto death, when a herd of wild asses moved from their pasturage to a rock that was shaded by a grove of trees. Moses followed them, and, conjecturing the truth from the grassy ground, discovered abundant streams of water. This relieved them, and they marched 6 days continuously. On the seventh, seized a country, expelling the former inhabitants, and there they founded a temple, dedicated the temple. So To establish his influence over his people, Moses introduced a new religious practices, quite opposed to those of all other religions. The Jews regard as profane all that we hold sacred. On the other hand, they permit all that we abhor. They dedicated in a shrine a statue of that creature whose guidance enabled them to put an end to their waterings and thirst, a statue of a donkey, sacrificing a ram in derision of Ammon. They likewise abstained from the ox because the Egyptians worshiped. All right. That's a little story he gives. There's more on this too, but I'm not going to keep going. I just wanted to show that part. He gives this alternate origin story that doesn't, it sounds like an Exodus a little bit. You got Moses, you got them wandering in the desert, but there's a lot of different things happening here. And we have a name of the Pharaoh now. We didn't get the name of the Pharaoh in the Bible. They don't say, they never say, people say Ramses. It doesn't say Ramses ever. There's no name. It just says Pharaoh. So in this text, we actually get a name. So if we look at who is Bacchus, here he is. Bacchus, also known in Greek as Bacchus. He's from the 24th dynasty. All right, well, how do we know that? We can just trust Wikipedia, but I want to show you how we know that. So I'm going to go to Alien. Let's go to Manetho. Manetho mentions this Bacchus, the 24th dynasty, reigned for 44 years, and in his reign, a lamb spoke. What? Turns out that this was like some sort of event that happened where a lamb told the Egyptians that they would be conquered by the Assyrians. And then, does anyone else corroborate this evidence? Alien talks about this too. This is another Roman writer who's writing in Greek, as you can see. The Egyptians assert that they are far from convincing me. They assert that I say in the days of the far-famed Bacchus, a lamb was born with 8 feet and 2 tails, and that it spoke. They say that the lamb had 2 heads and 4 horns. What? So, wait a minute. Now we're looking at, where does all these prophecies of all these animals with multiple heads and horns telling the people they're going to be sacked and taken over by the Babylonians and Assyrians? Well, here's another source for that. But here's the problem with this. King Bacchus, as I've shown you, King Bacchus is only in the 8th century BC. This is not Bronze Age 18th dynasty that we're talking about. We're almost in the classical period. I mean, we're getting towards the Persian period now. We're getting towards the Greek Hellenistic period. So this is what who this king is. All right, let's continue. Let's see what else we got. So I want to go to Herodotus real quick. I want to talk about the alphabet for a second. Herodotus says that this one. The Phoenicians. So okay, Herodotus. Herodotus mentions in his Persian wars that the alphabet comes from the Phoenicians, but he says something interesting about. I don't think I even have the source here. I'm at the wrong page. I could look it up. Alphabet. Here it is. He says the Phoenicians who came with Cadmus. By the way, Cadmus was the king of Thebes. He is a Phoenician by descent, but he's living up in Thebes in Greece. And it says, at their settlement in this country, among many others of learning, brought into Hellas the alphabet, which had hitherto been unknown, as I think, to the Greeks. And presently, as the time went on, the sound and the form of the letters changed. At this time, the Greeks that dwelt round them from most parts were Ionians, all right, who have been taught the letters by the Phoenicians and used them with some few changes in form. I'm going to show you some crazy shit right here. Ready? Thus, the Ionians have from ancient times called papyrus sheet skins, but formerly lack papyrus. They use the skins of sheep, goats. Let me see. Where's the part that oh, here it is. I myself have seen Cadmean characters in the temple of Isthmian Apollo. So he's saying that the oldest alphabet that ever existed is up in the temple of Apollo in Boeotia, which is near Athens, graven on a certain tripods, and for the most part, like the Ionian characters. That's really strange. Now, this because the idea of Phoenicians making an alphabet and then giving it to the Greeks, it's a little more. It's not as black and white as people think it is. There's more going on here, and Herodotus kind of gives a little clue on this. So let's look at this, right? All right, I want to show you guys something. This is going to be cool, I promise. I'm going to share a different screen for a second. This right here. Here we go. What I'm about to show you is called. It is called the Dispilio tablet. Do you see this? This is a ancient tablet. It's a mystery right now. It was discovered like 30 years ago in Macedonia, which is where the Pelasgians used to live. Thrace, Macedonia, Thessaly, that's Pelasgian land. Oh, and also in Turkey, where Troy is, modern day Turkey. You know, that's where the Pelasgians are from. That whole region, that's all Pelasgian. That's the Pelasgians. So right in the heart of the Pelasgian land is this thing that they discovered. It's like, what the fuck? What is this? Now, if you look, that looks like an eta. That looks like a Dalit down there. Looks like you got. Now, this one blew my mind because this looks like it could be either a digamma, which is an ancient form of a W sound, but it also looks like an omega, which is it looks like it. You could see, like, all I'm saying is looking at these characters, you can almost imagine an older descendant of what becomes both the Greek and Phoenician alphabets. All right, let's continue on this. How much evidence do I have, right? What do we got here? So I'm going to share my screen again, and this time I'm going to share, well, I'll just go to the same, let's go to this page again. All right, sharing my screen. All right, so let's look into this tablet. What is this thing? This is what the
All right. We'll get him back here just a second. Here, ooh, we have an asteroid.
I hate when that happens. When you click on something and it gives you the wrong screen. I hate when that happens. All right, here we go. I brought it back up. All right, so let's go to. All right, now this time it shouldn't do that again. So I want to look into this now. This is what the article says. Apparently, now there's been no academic articles written on this tablet yet. It's a mystery. People are starting to figure out what the hell is this thing, because this is gonna. If this really is all right, let's just talk about it first. Apparently, this wooden tablet bearing what looks like an early form of an alphabet, carbon dates. They did carbon dating on it because it's wood, so they can carbon date it. 5,000 BC. All right, now that doesn't necessarily mean the writing is 5,000 BC. Someone could inscript it, but so far that's all we know. The carbon dating came back. It's from 5,000 BC. It's discovered in 1993. But here's the crazy part this is why I wanted to bring this up. This is the crazy shit right here. It's discovered the place they found it in was a Neolithic village, which means like wrap your head around this. Like you have to understand what I'm saying here. The village that they uncovered, very, very far underground, is all Neolithic stuff. The pottery, the town, the building, everything, and then this is there. How did that get there? And its carbon dating matches too. It fits with the Neolithic, except for the writing on it, which is what the fuck is going? Why is there, it looks like kind of like a Greek form of alphabet in a Neolithic foundation? Put that screen up if you don't mind. I just want to show. So, okay. University, the tablets discoveries announced at a symposium in February 1994 at the University of Thessalonica. The site's paleo environment, botany, fishing techniques, tools, and ceramics were described informally in the okay, that's something. All right. So basically, just all we know so far is they dug up this Neolithic place, and this is work being done by the Aristotle's University of Thessalonica. And they're right now. Someone's writing. There's apparently, I looked into it. There's academic articles being written on this thing that might change the consensus on the alphabet. I'm not kidding. I wrote, look this up yourself. Please look this up. Don't listen to me. But there are people saying that the articles being written about this tablet is going to change the academic consensus on the invention of the alphabet. Now, let me continue with this. I want to show, because the first question should be, is there any other evidence for anything like this? Is this just by itself, right? I want to give you I'm going to give you an example of something that's by itself that doesn't fit. The Merneptah Stele doesn't fit at all with any of the evidence, but it's accepted because there's a dogma in mainstream academia that wants Israel to be like real. It's like they want the fairy tale to be real. Hold that thought. Put a little side note on that. Let's go. But here's the thing. It turns out that there actually is
and another asteroid. Sorry about that. This is getting exciting, man. I'm about to lose it. Look, I did a song and dance. Okay, you're on. Go.
All right. Here we go. So here's what's called the Trojan script. So it turns out there actually is some other basis of what this means. Okay, the Trojan script is look at this. It almost, I mean, obviously it's not Greek, but you look at it, you look at the characters, and you don't got to use your imagination too hard. And you're like, okay, there's some, it's not like hieroglyphics. It's very syllabic. It's very, so okay, so let's talk about this. What's going on here? Philologus, I think that's the same as philologist, probably. Attempted to transliterate the signs as Greek. Professor Hogg attempted to translate it to seal. He claims that the words are Tao si ego. Hogg believed this meant divine sego. So scholars are already guessing this is some proto-Greek stuff going on here, right? And by the way, people are trying to shut this shit down. Like the mainstream consensus is like, no way. But some of these philologists are saying, what else can it be? And so there's a huge debate going on about this. I'm not going to sit here and say it's Greek, but that's what people are saying. In 1994, Dr. Louis Goddard published the inscriptions. He identified the script as Linear A, which we know is Proto-Greek. He's saying it's at least, and I looked into it, it's at least part of this family of what me and Amun would call the Pulaskian alphabet, pre-alphabets. Like they're similar. They all Linear A, and then look at Linear B. You're like, does Linear B come from Linear A? I don't really know. I can't tell you on that. But there's like a lot of stuff being written about this stuff, and the picture is not there yet. There still is so much work needs to be done. All right. So considers this highly, obviously you can see people, there's no way, highly unlikely. So people are not liking this at all. But here's the thing. What does it date to? That's what I want to know. The archaeological analysis of the inscriptions of the Trojan script date to the third millennium BCE. 2,200. This is over 1,000 years before the Phoenician alphabet. Now, it's possible that this form of script could have some influence on, I'm thinking if it's the Phoenicians, I don't really care if it's the Phoenicians. Cadmus really invented the alphabet. But whatever the story is, I don't really care. I'm looking at the evidence and I'm saying this looks like there could be some precedent here for the alphabet coming from this part of the world. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to do now, I'm going to be careful not to kick myself off again. I promise. So let's see. What else do we got? I want to show something real quick. The Merneptah Stele. Make sure I'm not going to get kicked off. Okay, good. Merneptah Stele. This is the weirdest shit ever. So as we've already discussed at length, that nobody is talking about Israel until the Hellenistic era, Persian period, Hellenistic period. It's just not really in the sources, barely. So it's like, is there a kingdom there? Is it a nation? Is it a city state? What's going on here? So this is the consensus in Bible scholar world that this is the oldest inscription of Israel. And it's like, everyone just accepts this straight up. And it doesn't fit with the data. Like there are no other inscriptions anywhere in all the Egyptian hieroglyphs of mentioning the word Israel. In fact, the word Israel doesn't even show up in Egyptian hieroglyphics. It only shows up in the later hieratic demotic scripts that come after King Bacchus, by the way, after 700 BC. So before that, during the age of the hieroglyphs, the word Israel is just not in there. So they find this random Merneptah Stele, and the story behind it is so funny. So I got to read this. First of all, let me show you what it says. Apparently, the translation is, the princes are prostrate, peace. No one raises his head among the 9 bows. Desolation is for Gehennu. Hati is pacified. Plundered is the Canaan with every evil. Wait, we already have Canaan in here? I thought Bible scholar says Canaan and Israel are synonymous. That's weird. Why would Israel and Canaan both be in here? Right? But okay, what does it actually say though? If you actually look at the hieroglyphs, it doesn't say Israel. It says Yisrael. I mean, why is there assuming this is Israel? I have no idea. No clue why the people just assume this is Israel. Why can't it be Syria? In fact, why some people have said, if you look down here, there's 3 citations here, and I know there's actually more than that if you look into it. But Wikipedia gives 3 citations of scholars who say that this is Jezreel. This isn't Israel. This is Jezreel. Israel didn't exist yet. Some people say it means wearers of the side lock. But the bottom line is this. It doesn't say Israel. It says Yisrael. And they just assume it's Israel. But here's the funny part. When you find something like this, and it's a complete needle in a haystack as far as the evidence goes. Like if there was a bunch of other inscriptions from this time period that mentioned Israel, I would have no reason to doubt this. But the fact that it's just sitting by itself, and then the next time in the sources Israel is mentioned is all the way down in the 800s BC or some 8th century BC or something. So we're talking 500-year gap from the first time Israel is mentioned to the second time it's mentioned ever in the sources. Or that should be a red flag. But you got to hear this story. So here's the story. This is reference from a journal article from Drawer in 1995 called Flinders Petrie, A Life in Archaeology. You should read this yourself. It's from the University of Wisconsin Press. And this is what he reports. It's almost like a transcript of what happened when they found this. And it says, Petrie called upon Wilhelm Spielberg, a German philologist, and his archaeological team to translate the inscription. By the way, these people were looking for Israel. They went out to find Israel in Egyptian sources. They weren't like looking for something else and stumbled on this. Their goal was to find Israel in the sources. Why? Because Copenhagen International, people who writes, I'll talk about the Copenhagen International. They're called biblical minimalist. It's a whole entire academic group, completely at odds with the SBL types, the seminarian types. They're all just saying that the whole Bible is just a fairy tale. It doesn't match up with history at all. So these people started to really, they were starting to really win in these debate circles. As far as the evidence, as far as they're showing, look, there's Persian loanwords, there's Hellenistic loanwords. These texts are written later. That's what these people have been saying this for 100 years. This is not new. Amun's not bringing anything new here. Neither am I. This has been being discussed for 100 years now. You just don't hear about it a lot. But you can look into it. Look into the Copenhagen International Bible Society. You'll see a lot of shit that we're saying right now. So anyways, the point is they're starting to win in these academic debates. So now people need to find we need to find evidence so we can clap back at these people. So here's the story. Spiegelberg was puzzled by one symbol towards the end, that a people or a tribe whom Merneptah had victoriously smitten. I-S-I-E-S-R. Huh. Petrie quickly suggested that it reads Israel. It's Israel. Just assumes it. Spiegelberg agreed that this translation must be correct. Won't the reverends be pleased? Won't the reverends be pleased? I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be rich, remarked Petrie at the dinner that evening. Petrie, who realized the importance of this find, says, this stele will be better known in the world than anything else I have found. The news of this discovery made headlines when it reached English papers. Now, let's just use our common sense now. You have incentives to go and find this shit. And look how they just find something close enough. It's in the general location. Ignore that Canaan's already on that list. Just don't tell anybody about that part. But it's Israel. It's Israel. Yes, it must be. Won't the reverends be pleased? Probably got rich off that. Rich for the rest of their. That was the greatest discovery that person will ever make. They had every incentive. So I'm just saying, look, maybe it is Israel. I'm keeping an open mind here, but I'm just saying, why is it accepted? So there's scholars right now. I'm not going to call out names anymore. I'm not going to do that. We did that a few times, but you guys know who I'm talking about, who are winning awards from the SBL, winning the greatest, if you're the greatest scholar of the year award. People who are just literally going on TikTok, telling people that this is real and this scholarly consensus is 100% agrees that this is real, which is not true. There is a bunch of debate about the Merneptah Stele. It's not accepted by every scholar. In fact, I think the evidence shows that this was kind of like bullshit. All right. So I want to talk about one more thing and then I'm done. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about that alphabet. But the next thing I want to discuss real quick is this is a big one. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. I promise I won't get kicked off this time. So that was really bad. All right. This is going to be crazy. So you always hear this, the Hellenistic period, right? What's the Hellenistic period? The Hellenistic period is from the time Alexander the Great conquered the East, so 333 to 332 or whatever, till the time of Rome. All right. So you get this dogma in academics and Bible scholar world where it's impossible that any Greek influence could happen on anything before the Hellenistic period. The Greeks were nobodies before the Hellenistic period. That is bullshit. And the evidence proves this. So I got a couple sources and I'm almost done, I promise. But this will be cool. You'll like this. So I'm going back to my screen again. And see this coin right here? That's Yao. As you can see, Yod, Aleph, Vav. It's not 4 letters, it's 3 letters. It's from the 4th century BC. And guess what? It's from the Persian period. But it's obvious. And by the way, every scholar who's identified this coin says it's influenced by Hellenistic imagery of Zeus holding the eagle. That is an image of Zeus. There is no other. You can't say that's Ahura Mazda. You can't say that's some Indian guy. No, look this up for yourself. Don't listen to me. That is Zeus being called Yahweh. That means Hellenism was in Hellenism, not in the sense of the age. Hellenism in the sense of Greek-like was already influencing the East way before Alexander the Great. Well, I wouldn't say way before, but a century before at least. This coin proves this. And by the way, there's more. Look, here's another one. That's Yahweh. That's Zeus, but it says Yahweh on it. It's a Persian period coin. Here's another one. That's clearly Zeus with his eagle. Totally Jupiter, Zeus, whatever you want to call him. This is a Persian period coin. And it says Yahweh on it. Okay. Now, what's going on here? How are the Greeks influencing the East if they're not ruling Babylon? That's what a Bible scholar would say to clap back at me. And I'll just say, well, you don't know the sources then, because Herodotus tells us all about what's going on. By the way, Diodorus of Sicily mentions that Yahweh is the god of Moses. He spells it I-A-O. And he says that this is like some synchronistic god of basically it's like all these gods rolled into one. And Macrobius mentions this too. So people know about Yahweh. In fact, Chaldean oracles say it's the name of Bacchus. And I've showed you guys that before. That's a whole, I didn't bring that with me. But I want to show something about Herodotus and then Alexander the Great, and then I'm done. Herodotus actually discusses something in this one right here. So Herodotus says, where is it? Here we go. This is cool. Now, Herodotus is way before Alexander the Great. He says that when the Persians came to Cyrene, the country of Cyrene, which is the highest part of Libya, which the nomads inhabit, has the marvelous boon of 3 harvest seasons. He talks about them for a little bit. So who are the Cyrenes, right? I'm just going to share another screen real quick. I have to show you guys this. Cyrene. All right, so Barca. Barca is this ancient city, right? And it's a Greek city. It's like if you look at the history, Barca appears to be a Libyan tribe. By the way, this is where Medea is from too. The Greek settlers of Cyrene colonized it. It shows that the Greeks were there all the way back in 7th century BC. Herodotus places the foundation of the city, or whatever. So there's all this stuff about this Hellenistic city. Look there's Ammon right there. So you can see there's an obvious Hellenistic Greek influence. That's from 475 BC during the Achaemenid period. Persian period, guys. Why is there Greek gods on Persian period stuff? Because the Greeks are influencing shit way before Alexander the Great. These are people who are very influential. Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Thales. These are brilliant minds. So the reason why I brought this up is because I have one more thing I want to show you. During the Persian period, according to Herodotus, Herodotus says that the Persians, well, I'll just tell you, it's in here. He says that it's in book 4 or book 4. He says the Persians went to this Greek city, took all the Greeks out of there, and Ionians too. So he took Ionians. Persians are conquering Ionia and Egypt. They tried to conquer Greece and they lost. Everyone knows this famous battle between the Persians and the Greeks. There's a few battles, but they did conquer the Egyptians and they conquered the Ionians. All these people who are already influenced by the Greeks. He says that they sent them all to Greco-Bactria. Now, where's that? This is my last thing I want to show you guys. This is just like tying it all together. So Bactria, if we look at the Achaemenid period, right? See all the way over here, all the way on the top left. Can you see my mouse? I don't know if you can see my mouse, but all the way up here where it says Sakas, Sogdinia, Bactria. So it turns out, if you fact check me on this, these were Greek cities before Alexander the Great even got there. Because Cyrus relocated Greeks from Ionia and Cyrene and set them up in these cities all the way in modern day Afghanistan. So when Alexander the Great got to Bactria, there was already Greek cities there. And that's why they call him a liberator. He was liberated. There's actually a lot of people will say, oh, they only call him a liberator because the victor's writing the history. Now, that could be true in some cases, but in this case, it's not. In this case, Alexander the Great was seen as a liberator. When he came to Bactria and came to these cities, they were like, finally, the Greeks are here. Great. And he built Alexandria the farthest, which is all the way in modern day Afghanistan. It actually was the last Hellenistic city in the world, last Greek kingdom to exist in the world. So when Rome conquered Greece, when the Seleucids fell and the Ptolemies fell to Rome, there was a kingdom all the way in Afghanistan that was still Greek, and it lasted all the way to like 200 AD, and no one ever talks about it. All right, last thing I want to show you guys is this is a cool passage from Alexander the Great, and or from Arrian about Alexander the Great. And this is so cool, and it just kind of highlights how far this Bacchic Empire reached. We talk about Medea, and by the way, Herodotus, when he talks about the start of the Trojan War, this is in Book 1, Chapter 1 of Herodotus. He says that the reason why the Trojan War happened is because Io was kidnapped, and then in retaliation of Io being kidnapped, the Greeks captured Medea, brought her to Athens, and then the Trojans came in and retaliated to the Greeks and captured Helen. So there's 3 princesses being captured, and that's why this war started. And it's very strange that these 3 faces, Medea, Helen of Troy, and Io, very influential, almost deified goddesses in many ways, with the way they're written about in these texts. And they're all living in the same time period, according to Herodotus. And they're the reason why this war has happened. They're the reason why we have civilization. And so when Alexander finally goes east, he this is what Arrian says about this. This is a cool text. Where is it? Maybe I didn't bring that one. All right, whatever. So yeah, Alexander. I'll just tell you the story. It's an Arrian. Alexander the Great travels all the way to Bactria, and he says that they were in these mountains that they thought was Nysa, the city of Nysa, of Dionysus. And they found wild ivy growing on the mountains. So Alexander and his his compatriots took the ivy off, donned them as wreaths, and started having a Bacchic. They went into a Bacchic frenzy immediately. That's what Arrian says. Cool story, by the way. And I'm just going to leave you with this last thing that I want to show you guys. So there's the earliest sources about, Amo was talking about the earliest mentions of any of these texts, or anyone mentioning Moses, anyone mentioning Abraham. It's when you look at when these texts start showing up, or when these people start getting mentioned in the sources, the first time it's mentioned is Hecataeus of Abdera, and then you get Manetho, then you get Alexander Polyhistor. You start getting, and it's all in the Hellenistic period, and they're all Greek writers writing about Moses. The stories don't match up with the Bible. They're all happening later times. Abraham is like, the stories are different. The Jews living in Elephantine, who left Israel around in the 500s, go down in Egypt, and they have thousands of papyri that they discovered in these cities, and thousands of Aramaic papyries and inscriptions in this Egyptian city. And these are Jews. These are Jewish. They're writing in Aramaic, but they're Jews. They never mention Abraham. They never mention Moses. They never mention David. They never mention Noah. They don't mention anybody in the Bible. And we're talking 480 BCE. That's not an argument from silence. That's an argument of no evidence. That's not an argument from silence. That's an argument of no evidence. All right. And that's the last thing I want to show you guys. And I keep saying that, but this is really it. This character, Musaeus of Athens. No one ever talks about this, but Musaeus of Athens was supposedly he was the son of Orpheus. And he composed these texts called the Kresmoi, the oracles. And they're Orphic story. It's like they're like Bible stories, basically. They're prophetic wisdom. They're songs, like the Psalms. Psalmoi means songs. The word psalmoi means songs written for a harpist. That's what the word psalmoi means in Greek. It's a Greek. Psalms are Greek. It's a very Orphic concept. Even in fact, they're in the Septuagint. I have it over here somewhere. My handy dandy Septuagint. Check this out. There's a psalm. It's called Psalm 151, but it's not. It's before the Christian Bible started numbering stuff. So it's actually just at the end of. It's at the end of Psalms. So it's actually technically part of Psalm 150. And if you read it, it's like it's about King David playing his lyre and calming all the animals and trees. It sounds like Orpheus. It's an Orphic psalm. And so this character, just put up the screen one more time real quick, and this is the last one. This character, Musaeus of Athens, was the son of Orpheus, who was considered to be, look at this. This is how they describe him. He's a polymath, a philosopher, a historian, a prophet, a seer, a priest, a poet, and a musician. Who does that sound like? Sounds like Moses, man. Lawgiver, all that stuff. Yeah, one of the stories about him, he went to the Phrygians and gave them laws. So he's a lawgiver too. And he's mentioned in all these sources, right? And by the way, if you look at the early Jewish writers, philosophers, and this is mentioned in Eusebius, Preparatio Evangelica, Artapanus of Alexandria, Alexander Polyhistor, Numenius of Apamea, and but it doesn't say it here, but Hecataeus of Abdera too, all say that this is Moses. So this Greek Athenian character they're saying is the real Moses. That Moses is sort of based off this guy. And they're sort of taking the story of Musaeus of Athens and sort of rewriting a story of a lawgiver from Egypt. Instead of going from Athens to Phrygia, he's going from Egypt to Judea. But the stories they line up like perfectly. So anyways, I brought some text. I'm a little scatterbrained today, but I just wanted to try to complement what he's saying about the linguistic side and give some of the historical side.
That was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God. How many degrees have you gotten in the last couple of years? My goodness, man.
I don't care about I care about the text. I care about like finding stuff out. I don't really give a shit about a degree. I don't care about awards from the SBL. I don't give a shit about none of that.
Yeah.
That's all.
You're doing what they're not doing. So isn't that funny? You are really the ideal scholar. And you're not sucked into the BS that is academia and the selling of books and peddling of position and authority and hoo-hoo. So nice job. Beautiful job. My God.
Somebody asked me recently if I think there's a conspiracy for academics to like whatever. And I go, no, it's not that. I go, it's an environment of strong dogmas. And there's no conspiracy. It's not like one scholar secretly like telling them, oh, I think they're all right and we need to hide the truth. None of that's going on. What I think is going on is New Testament scholarship is so dominated by people who want this stuff to be true that it's sort of when scholars when new students come up in these seminars, they're being pushed in a direction where they can't even challenge the status quo because they won't have a job, their books won't get sold, they won't be part of the crew, they'll be outcasted, and they don't want that. So they sort of subconsciously just go along with whatever is being taught to them, and they're not really they're not really being given any reason to go outside and discover. It's like they're being conditioned to just be part of the system that's already there and just serve the system rather than go out and discover something that no one's discovered yet. And I'm not saying people don't do that, but I'm saying there's so much dogma in trying to keep all this historical and try to keep, Israel's so ancient and they're way older than the Greeks and and that whole dogma is just so strong that it can't be questioned. That's what I think is going on.
Yeah, it's always a matter of whether or not you can crack that ceiling of what where the control mechanism is, right? To shut you down, because whoever brings you that history is that stuff floating around the air around us. I thought that was brilliantly done. I have a question for you. You think that old, that fifth, 5,000 BC, you think
that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you think that's probably Pelasgian?
What else it would be?
Yeah. Is that where you would go with that? I mean, that's where I want to go, but God, how can we break that down and figure out if it is? Because it sounds like
I want to know
part of the debate.
How did that thing end up in a Neolithic village surrounded by Neolithic pottery with on a piece of wood that's carbon dated to the same Neolithic period? How the hell did that get there? And I'll admit that's an anomaly. It doesn't make any sense. But then you look. But then that's because we're jumping from 5,000 BC to 2,000 BC when you start seeing similar, which is they call it the Trojan script. When you start seeing similar scripts, linear A comes from Crete. So the whole Mediterranean seems to have similar style of writing, whereas in Egypt it's hieroglyphics, and Middle East it's cuneiform. But in the Mediterranean world, you see this what looks like proto-alphabetic scripts, which is what the whole point I was trying to make was. It looks like the alphabet isn't coming from cuneiform or hieroglyphics; it's coming from over here. And the evidence, people are ignoring the Trojan script. They're just writing it off. No, that's not real. But it's like, what is it then? It's something. It's something. It's sitting there. Let's figure out what it is. Why does nobody care?
And when you brought up, you were like, well, it doesn't really look like it, but maybe. I'm telling you, when I went into Emmett Bennett, who cracked linear B, the first time I looked at a linear B tablet, it is nowhere near any of the Greek that I had been taught. So yeah, the fact that there is something there is actually what's most important. It'll take the eggheads some time to crack that one, but I sure hope it's Pelasgian,
It's been 30 years since they discovered it in Macedonia, and no peer-reviewed articles have been published. Zero. So it's just sitting there. No one's done any work on it. It's like, do people not, is there no incentive for anybody to talk about this? And I'm not saying there's a conspiracy. Like I said, I'm not saying the conspiracy. I'm saying there's nobody care. Is that what's going on? Nobody cares. They just want this to be, the Phoenicians created the alphabet from Egyptian and they gave it to the Greeks. It's like, well, then what the fuck is this? What are these inscriptions then? Why does it look so similar to Greek?
Yeah. I think it's laziness too. You got to factor that in. If there's not money in it, and let's be honest, cracking something like this, it's probably not going to yield you a big, nobody's going to make you rich over it and give you sponsors, right?
Unless you can successfully slam dunk 100% prove and change the academic consensus and say, look, we think the alphabet might have came from somewhere else. And then if you can do that'll make you famous forever. But the only problem is you're up against a brick wall right now that doesn't want. If you the Wikipedia article shows you every person who tried to publish and say it's Greek got shut down immediately. No way, it's not Greek. Can't be Greek. You know the Phoenicians made the alphabet. Shut up, sit down. No, that's really what's been happening. So the question is, if it's not Greek, then what is it?
Yeah. That's exactly what they were saying about Linear B, because they did not know it was Greek to start with.
Right.
So yeah, it's a great candidate. With everything the Greeks are saying about the Pelasgians, and now, Neil, because you've been reading the sources, it only makes sense that the language is going directly back to that ancestor. So yeah, I think we're ready.
Just to clarify, when I say Greek, obviously what I mean is Proto-Greek, Pelasgian, Mycenaean. I'm not talking about like they didn't call themselves Greeks.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this area and similar Indo-European language structure. That's what I mean by that. So when I say Greek, that's what I mean.
You mentioned Medea too. If you don't mind, I want to ask you your opinion, because they also said that Medea was Helen, and that she was the one who was projecting her image into Achilles' mind, because Medea and Achilles end up in Elysium as the bride pair in Elysium. And when Achilles was in his all-girls school, Deidamia was there, and she's the only priestess who had intercourse with him. As he was disguised. And our ancient sources actually say Deidamia is another way to say Medea.
Wow.
So yeah.
I thought too. Now check this out. People don't know this. There's a text written by Homer. It's lost. But Statius, a Latin Roman in the Roman period, he wrote. I don't know if he translated Homer or if he rewrote the story in Latin. The point is, we have the story. We know what it's about. It's preserved in Latin. But the Greek Homeric text, it's a prequel to the Iliad. The Iliad wasn't just 2 books, Iliad and Odyssey. It was, I think, 8. I think they said it's called an octateuch. And I think it's called the Achilleid, which is the story of Achilles that you just mentioned. And that story is crazy. Achilles grew up trans. I'm not. Look, people are going to say, come on, Jude, you're applying modern technology stuff. And no, read the text. He grew up as a girl amongst the Amazonians and the Amazonian tribe of Scythia. He wore all girls' clothing. He was disguised as a girl his entire life because Zeus was going to kill him if he found him. But he did. So that's the story. I'm just telling you, that's the story. By the way, okay, back to Medea. That's what you asked me for. I think Homer is giving an esoteric retelling of the Trojan War story, because this is Io is captured, Medea is captured, and Helen is captured. It's almost like the Hecate 3-headed goddess. Because by the way, who is Io? Now we've already connected. You just connected Medea and Helen. That was great. But why is Io there? Well, Io, you know who Io is? Io is the Christ. Io is the character in Prometheus Bound who gets stung by the gadfly, and the word Aeschylus uses is Christi, Christed. So Medea, Helen, Io is like a triple goddess Christ figure. This is the Christ. We've been saying, you and I have been talking about this for years now. You much longer. But there is a ancient Christ, and she was a goddess. And that's what I think is going on with Herodotus. I think he's giving a retelling of the Iliad. It's book 1, chapter 1 of Herodotus. Read it for yourself, where he says, here's what happens before the Iliad, or before the events of Homer's Iliad, before Troy got captured. And it's this random story about Io, Medea, and Helen all being captured at the same time. It's very strange. I think there's definitely something going on there.
Gorgeous. Yeah, no. And there's sometimes the language blocks us off from what they're actually kind of communicating, because everybody knows like that Helen was able to project her image. So the Greeks will write about her actually being in Egypt. She never went to Troy, right? She actually went to Egypt and projected her image there. So what do they mean when they say this, right? What is going on in the Greek mind? And when you actually read that, see, Achilles had dreams, and in these dreams, he was visited by the Medwa, right? All of a sudden, you're into a cultural practice, you're into a cult practice, and you're into this marriage, this hieros gamos, right? And these terms are familiar to them. So when they're going through these myths, when you're talking about Achilles, that's who you've got in the center of your image. He's essentially the guy who goes through the initiation, right? And realize Medea is actually older, right? She's projected into this generation. So it's, but of course she always looks young, It's an incredible cult kind of operation that you wouldn't think. People are like, what does this have to do? Remember, Isaiah is a prophetes, right? Guess what Medea is? She's not just a prophet. She's the arch prophet. Right. She's the one who brings the oracles, right? She's sitting enthroned on the island of Thera.
Yeah,
right?
What it looks like is happening is when you look at the prophets. By the way, I mentioned the Copenhagen Society. Russell Gemerkin has written a book. It's peer-reviewed. He's got two of them. Right. First, he came out with this: Plato's Timaeus, Biblical Creation Accounts, and he lays it out that the pre-Socratics invented monism, and obviously there's some Persian influence there too. Obviously, not denying that Zoroaster. And he talks about that too. And then that's why he says he dates the Old Testament text to the Hellenistic period. Just like we're both doing. And then people shot back at him and said, well, if that's the case, you would expect the law codes. The law codes in Deuteronomy are all ancient Babylonian law codes. Well, then he came out with this book, also peer-reviewed, Plato and the Creation of the Hebrew Bible. He shows that 75% of the law codes, I think 75 or 80% of the law codes, the majority of the law codes in Deuteronomy and Leviticus and Numbers line up with Athenian law codes. And only about 20% of them are from Babylonian or whatever, or Egyptian. So most of them are actually due. So he shot back and saying, no, you're actually wrong. It's Greek, still Greek. So now nobody, you know what they do? Instead of having an academic discussion and debating, write an article, write a fiery article, talk shit back. Let's do this. This is what academia was. Nobody, they just ignore him. In fact, I went and Dan McClellan, I went to one Dan McClellan live one time, and he was answering questions. It wasn't super chats. Anyone that asked a question, one by one, he was reading them and answering them. He got to my question. What are your thoughts on Copenhagen and the biblical minimalism? He didn't even read it. He skipped right over me. Went to the next question. They don't even want to engage with this shit, dude. Why?
Yeah, exactly. That's what the appropriation is for, right? It gives you legitimacy. If you don't have legitimacy, your whole stack of cards falls down. So yeah, love it. That's a perfect way, Neil, to kind of bring everything full circle. What we've got is a group of languages, and we've got this survival. This story that's playing out, this narrative. It's very biological. And that thing, the best thing that you can do to follow that track is to watch how the Greek language so took over and influenced the world. You got to remember, of our Anglo-Saxon, 30% to a half of it somewhere, it's coming from the Greek. We're only able to get these concepts because of that powerful language.
But as you mentioned, because of the limitations on Germanic languages and English, Anglo-Saxon English being one of those Germanic languages, we can borrow words from Greek, but we can't express things that, like, you try to translate a Greek text, you're dumbing it down, you're watering it down, it's completely bottlenecked. It becomes like a very rigid version. You're right. The Greek language is special. It's very special. It's very advanced. It's very, and that's why I think it's another reason to suggest that the alphabet could come from such a place that's so advanced in writing.
I suspect that power was coming through the Pelasgian side. That's what I think. I think ancient Greek got its oomph from that old Pelasgian ancestor, because they're always associating like specific religious rites with the Pelasgians. So any of the terms that come through, like that we talked tonight about the Laconian, right? And the source of that word being that we didn't say it, but it was the howling, right? That wolf's howling and the lukon root of that word. All of that is in the text, but it's getting there from that old Pelasgian side. And I'm starting to think that it was the Pelasgians who really had their shit together and had a language that was, it was off the charts, expressively and mechanically off the charts. Not just in what it could express conceptually, but in its flexibility and its native ability to build words and to use words together. They're always using the same root paired next to each other. They're always making contrast, like inherent comparisons and contrasting. It's amazing. You can even tell in the Greek sentence, you can even tell whether or not an action is being performed for the benefit of the subject or not. Right? It's like, how did they figure this out? How did they? I hope it was those Pelasgian. Those are horse tribes too. That's why they ended up, like you said, in Thessaly. Anywhere on Limnos as well. They also ended up on Limnos, and that stuff on Limnos looks like it's, people are trying to figure out that one too. They're like, which language is this, right?
Yeah, Cypriot syllables. It's called Cypriot syllables or whatever syllables. And then you have Lydian, the Lydian alphabet.
Yeah,
it looks like some people say it looks Phoenician, but it looks very Greek too. Yeah. Probably some sort of ancestor of what we're talking about, some sort of Pelasgian thing that started it off. And then you have like the Luwian, Hittite languages. Those are all Indo-European. They line up more with Greek than they do with anything Semitic. And they use cuneiform for a while, but then during the Persian period, they start using the alphabet. So you start getting these Indo-European languages, very similar. They have they worship Artemis. Like Artemis is in their language. Like there's so much Greek overlap with the Hittite languages, like the Lydian languages, the Phrygians, the Cappadocians. The Ionians were just so brilliant. They were just the scientists of the ancient world. They started civilization. That's where everything, all the credit is due to the Ionians.
Totally. Hippocrates. You were mentioning famous people in antiquity. Hippocrates, baby. He writes in a beautiful Ionian. It's gorgeous, and it's kind of you were talking about the oath. You were reading the oath the other day. Looking at that oath, isn't that delicious?
It's the translation that the current translation is so Christianized. It's so bad. They have like holy in there, and there's no holy in there. They're just like throwing words in that don't exist or that aren't in the Greek.
Our duty. It's our duty to protect that.
Yeah. They took the translation that you look up the Hippocratic Oath and you read it on Wikipedia, you're gonna read a Christianized version of it. It's not the same. The Greek's a lot different. And by the way, the Christianized version says, "I will never give somebody an abortion." If you read the Greek, it's not in there. It says, "I will not give anybody aphrodisiacs against their will." It says the exact opposite. How did that happen?
It talks about the thanasimon, the death inducer too. It's the context of the pharmacology that you have to get in to your mind. Yeah, everybody makes a big deal about that. I wanted to ask you, while I've got you prisoner, tell me the Herculaneum library. So 800 scrolls, probably with a lot that we don't even know who the authors are, right? So tell me this: what is your understanding of, or do you think people are getting it? How important this thing is? How important this library is?
From what I've seen, people talk about it. Like other YouTubers who are into this stuff are also on the edge of their seat. Can't wait to see what's going to happen. They translated a text that it was like a philosophical doctrine about having how to be in good cheerful spirits or something along those lines. And you can just tell it's just some Greek shit. Like that's all they write about. It's all about aesthetics and some pre-Socratic talking about like the Epicureans are like, it's all about being cheerful. The Stoics, it's all good, chill. That's all good, chill. That's the Greek attitude, man. I love the Stoics. I love the Cynics. I love the Cynics. They don't give a shit. Cynics, throw out your wealth. There's a picture of Crates. I call Ammon Crates. No one knows this. Let me one more time. I'm going to share one more thing. I got to show this. So Crates from, I think he's from Athens. I don't know where he's from. I found it. Okay, Crates of Athens. Check this out, right? I call Ammon Crates all the time when I talk to him because he reminds me of this dude. Ready? All right, you got it. So Crates of Athens was one of the he was a student of Diogenes, the Cynic, and there's a famous painting of him. Oh, where is it? They don't have it on here. Crates painting of Athens. I gotta show him this. This is you all day. Here it is. All right, hold on. I gotta share my other screen now. Ready for this? This is Ammon all day, dumping out his wealth. He doesn't care. See, he's dumping out all the diamonds because the Cynics had this attitude of reject riches, live in nature, go to the inner city and live in a barrel, and you'll see you'll be happy one day if you could figure out how to live like that. That was a Cynic attitude, man. And Stoicism actually comes out of Cynicism. The first Stoic, Zeno, was a student of Crates. So it goes Diogenes, who's around for Socrates, Diogenes, then Crates, and then Zeno, the first Stoic. So Stoicism comes out of Cynicism. You need to be Cynic you need to be a Cynic before you can be a Stoic. Isn't that crazy?
I like that the Cynics are called Cynics because they were considered dogs.
Oh, yeah, dog-like. That's what I have it on my Twitter account. Kundisko means dog-like. Live, be happy in life. Be like dogs are always happy, right?
Yeah.
Dogs, all they want is their food and be able to go outside and piss. That's it. Right. If you can learn how to live like a dog, life is good. That's the Cynic attitude.
That's Diogenes, baby. He just did what he wanted. You know what I mean? He was the only dog that didn't leave town when the bad guys came because he didn't care.
He was the Satan of Plato. Because there's stories about him and Plato lived together. They hated each other. And there's stories about Diogenes confronting Plato and saying, dude, I heard you had to kiss the ass of the tyrant Dionysus of Sicily, he was the richest king in probably the world at that time. And Plato would go visit this guy so he can get like favors and stuff. And Diogenes is like, you have to go kiss the ass of this tyrant? That sucks. And Plato's like, well, you have to wash your vegetables in a river. He's like, at least I don't have to kiss an ass to a tyrant. Like, it was just like, dude, Diogenes was awesome, man. I love it. I love reading about Diogenes.
I love that, man. I love that. That's beautiful. Okay. I'm going to declare a closing to tonight's most outstanding episode, but I want to, first of all, thank Gnostic for coming and say I am truly overawed by the work, and now I'm going to have to go back and think about some of the Pulaski and stuff again, kind of bring that up to the fore. So well done, sir. I hereby give you your master's degree, and now we will proceed to the PhD.
That first part with the linguistics blew my mind. I mean, that was the first time I ever heard anything like you brought some arguments there.
Yeah, and hopefully people will see and they'll copy and they'll be like, oh, wait a minute, can you actually do this? Can you read the Greek and find out that the Hebrew is totally different? Yes, you can. So, where are the lazy classicists out there? Get off your backsides and start working on the Bible, right? It needs it. You got to start doing it, man. Don't let them take it from you. They're still ancient texts. Yeah, love it. I want to say I'm going to give you the last word, Neil, but I want to say I'm going to meet with the Discordians, and we will find out the news from Omnia. Thank you for everybody for coming tonight. I'm going to throw it to you, so don't jump off right away. But hail Satan on my end. Neil, it's your last word tonight. What do you think, man?
Man, I just got to say, I got something deeper that I want to say about this. Because I heard that there's classics departments being shut down, Bible or, ancient studies being shut down. And my first reaction to that was like, that can't be good. But then I thought about it. Maybe it might be good, because now we live in a time period where we have access to libraries online. Loeb International, for example, library. Every Greek text, every Latin text, right there at your fingertips. You can go on Wizant and learn a language from an expert. You can learn Greek, you can learn Latin, you can learn Hebrew, you can learn whatever you want. Coptic. You have no excuse on that now. And 50 years ago, you had to go to a college, you had to find somebody who can teach you in your city. If someone in your city didn't teach Greek, you're not learning Greek, period. So now that's gone. Now you can learn Greek. You have Loeb, you have Topos text, so you can find any reference to anyone mentioned in any source at your fingertips. You have ChatGPT-4 help you translate. I've used it to help me translate. It's pretty damn good. You have Topos Geography, where you can look up archaeological sites and find out where ancient sites are and look what the digs say and all that stuff. You have we call it Alice. Perseus Tufts. We call it Alice. From that song. Perseus Tufts, which we call Alice, that's your dagger. So basically, Loeb is your helmet. Perseus Tufts is your dagger. The Greek from Wizant is your sword. Your armor is is Loeb, the text. We have every tool at your fingertips to do this stuff yourself. But that also means test your theories out there. If you find something, you think I found something that no one knows, I found some sort of discovery, I have a new theory, put it out there and let people respond to it, test it out. By the way, this is what I've been doing for the last 3 years. 3 years ago, if you watch my videos from 3 years ago, I was saying some crazy shit that I don't think today. Why did I change my mind? Because I was able to throw them. I didn't just hold on to my theories and keep them to myself. I threw them out there on the internet, and they got tested in the fire. And if I was wrong, I was wrong. And then I changed that. I would adjust my theories and my work and keep going. And that's what I think everyone should be doing. So we're in a time period now where you don't really need to pay $40,000 to go to university. You could just do it yourself. So that's my Hail Satan for you.
And kudos to you. And that's why you're a real scholar. That's why you're a real scholar. Because look, you're doing this for the motivation, for the love of the text. You know what I mean? Compare that to somebody at Hoo-Ha Harvard who's got the position and all the talks to go to and the hoo-ha. It's all hoo-ha, right? He's not there anymore for I can tell you, I work with these people. They're not there anymore for the beauty of it. So in being Ronin and in educating yourself as a Ronin on the outside, Neil, people, look at the virtue of Gnostic informant. Look at it. Yeah, it's nice. Admire the virtue. I admire your virtue, Neil. May it have long life. Indeed. Thank you for coming, everybody. And everybody at Discordia, please come and meet me right now. And Neil, it's a true honor. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
They lie with evil for money. The witch queen of the trees got these arrows. The tips dipped in the darkest of venoms. Medea seldom asked me to kill, but for what you did to the kids, she's coming to get you. Vampires like to suck blood. The juice is loose, spitting these rhymes on the microphone. 1, 2, 1, 2, this thing on. Keeper of the song for Medea, with a kiss of poison, she's coming to see ya. Boom bap, snake queen trap. She sells seashells by the seashore. Medea, me more. She sells She sells seashells by the sea.